Hi, everyone. This weekend is going to be focused on Ozzy Osbourne's music. And well, last weekend we did a kind of joint commemorative weekend in honor of two of the musical greats who just recently passed away, Ozzy being one of them. Now, this weekend we wanted to spend a bit more time focused on Ozzy and his music himself. Today's song is going to be Mr. Crowley from 1980. And, well, let's find out what it's all about.
Mr. Crowley, what went on in your head? Oh, Mr. Crowley, did you talk to the dead? Uncovering things that were sacred, then you fist on this earth. You fooled all the people with magic. Yeah, you waited on Satan's door, Mr. Charlie. Did you think you were pure, Mr. Annoying? In that tunnel rapport, uncovering things that were sacred, and you fist on this earth. Conceived in the eye of a secret, yeah, this gets to the afterbirth.
This is so interesting. I guess I could say it's a side of Ozzy's creative work that I've not heard before. Well, of course, this isn't with Black Sabbath, so it's a it's I don't know enough to know how much of this is just because it's Ozzy and his vision and how much of it is unique to the song. But it's interesting, this whole idea. Mr. Crowley, what went on in your head? Oh, Mr. Crowley, did you talk to the dead? Your lifestyle to me seemed so tragic with the thrill of it all. You fooled all the people with magic. Yeah, you waited on Satan's call. Mr. Charming, did you think you were pure? I feel like, is this, I don't know, is this death itself coming to interrogate Mr. Crowley? I'm not sure, but it's an interesting perspective. In a way, it reminds me of what's that movie, Vlad? The one that is death comes into this family as a person.
Mr. Black,
Mr. Black.
death and taxes. You cannot cheat or you cannot something. Death and taxes. Remember? Mr. Joe Black.
Joe Black. That's it. Joe Black. Yeah. Joe Black. Somehow there are things about the way this song started and opened. Oh, even the organ. Okay, that organ at the beginning. It's not sinister, but it had me thinking.
Well, wait. Just for a perspective, Crowley was an English occultist.
Oh, so it was an actual person.
Magician.
Okay.
Yeah, and he actually founded a religion in the early 20th century, Thelemite.
Okay. So this is actually directed towards a real life character. All right, that adds some perspective. Well, I was just saying the organ at the beginning. It somehow simple little opening, but the way it moved and the same figure repeated on a different chord, and then it moved up an octave. The pacing of it. And then, of course, that wonderful suspension that I was singing as it comes to the end. It was something that just made me sit there and think, oh, what is this? And how is it going to develop? You know, it was such a great opening for this. And then, Mr. Crowley, what went on in your head? And I'm not sure if this is death interrogating Mr. Crowley or not, but somehow it puts that question in my mind of it could be or something. It seems like some non-person that is asking these questions, meaning I don't know, is it truth? Is it death? Is it something other than a human being? Kind of makes me feel like that. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. This guitar solo. Before we get into that, this guitar solo is interesting because there's a lot of fast finger agile work, but it's not something that I feel as being really looking for fireworks. It's more like a running around, perhaps looking for answers to the question. It's scurrying around. Oh, what if we go here? What if we go here? What about you know? Can we gather some information? Can we accomplish something here? That's how it makes me feel, and I think it fits well after all this sequence of questions that have been coming in the lyrics themselves. And I like the way when he sings Mr. Crowley, the bass. Bum, 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 bum. Almost as if that bass triggers, the name triggers something. Mr. Crowley. Bum, 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 bum. My white horse. What was a white horse? Back to the question of it's symbolic, of course. Yeah. What does this symbolize? Interesting what the guitar is doing in this song. Let's go back and note.
Was it polemically said? I wanna know what you meant. I wanna know. I wanna know what you
So, one of the things that I find really fascinating about this piece of music, especially knowing that it's Ozzy Osbourne, is the fact that this is a song kind of focused on an occultist, a character, a real life character who dealt with the occult. My experience of Ozzy as a musician has been mostly rooted in Black Sabbath and his time with Black Sabbath. And of course, my whole experience with that, it feels like they're really diving into occult topics in how they express their ideas and the things that they are trying to convey. They use occult imagery and ideas many times. I mean, Black Sabbath, which was that my first exposure to the band? Right. And now here it's a different approach, because here we are dealing with a real life occultist. We are dealing with this topic, and the music itself seems to be intentionally avoiding any sort of suggestion or implication or hint that it might be trying to portray or convey any sort of occultist qualities. It's so reserved. It's so, I could say, conservative. It's tending towards these musical motifs that are very traditional, very melodic and singable. I'm listening to these little, the organ at the beginning, that organ figure, or what the guitar has been doing. I've been singing along with the guitar. Little motifs, I'm thinking, oh, that could come from, let's say, Vivaldi. It could come from Johann Pachelbel. It could come from a Baroque era, a classical, something so clean and organized, and we might even say cerebral in its creative qualities. It's the way it's made. And it seems like these are being intentionally used to avoid the idea that this might be trying to conjure up some occultist qualities. And instead, it's questioning an occultist. And this piece is all about the question. And the music itself seems to be, I said, the guitar solo. It's looking around. It's looking for answers. I want to understand. Tell me. I want to tell me not tell me how you did what you did. Don't give me some initiation into your practices. Why did you do? What did you do? And did you think you were doing this, Mr. Charming? Did you think you were pure? Mr. Alarming in nocturnal rapport, uncovering things that were sacred, manifest on this earth. And then this line, won't you ride my white horse? And then it's some other symbolic elements as well. I hear that maiden's call, approaching a time that is drastic, standing with their backs to the wall. All of this is such an interesting way of handling the subject of a person dealing with the occult by somebody like Ozzy Osbourne. That's what I find fascinating, because of all that I've heard of his work, where he doesn't shy away. He doesn't shy away from these topics, these practices. He doesn't give the impression that, perhaps they shouldn't be touched or anything like that. He kind of dives in a lot of his music, at least the music I've heard. Now here, this is a whole different handling of the subject coming from him. And I am fascinated by that. The pacing of it is quite conservative. It's not fast. It also doesn't give any feeling of sinister quality. Even at the end there, he's like scratching his head, like, okay. Even his demeanor at the end, as he's watching the drummer and the guitarist finish up all the instrumental stuff, and he's sitting there like, I want to know what you meant. I want to know. This sort of bemused, what is going on here? Well, it leaves me scratching my head a little bit too, because, as I said, it started out feeling like these questions were being asked by someone or something other than a person, a human being. Maybe a virtue, maybe a quality, maybe an entity, maybe, a symbolic of something like death, as I said, Joe Black. But I'm not entirely sure, really. I'm not. There are things in it which make me think, perhaps so. My white horse, although usually death is figured with a black horse, right? That maiden's call, standing with their backs to the wall. Well, that sounds a little bit, But at the same time, it doesn't come right out and say, who is the questioning, or what is the questioning entity? We simply finish with, I want to know what you meant. I want to know what you meant. And that feels like a very, very human question. I want to know what you meant. So this is a very intriguing piece of music. And as I said, I'm fascinated with the fact that Ozzy Osbourne is the one who created this and is singing this, and it's such an interesting mix of ideas and reputations. and approaches to the whole topic. So, certainly a piece of music that has me curious in many different ways. Well, that is Ozzy Osbourne's Mr. Crowley from 1980, and this is how we are kicking off this Ozzy Osbourne weekend, kind of in commemoration of him as he just recently passed away a couple weeks ago. And I'll be looking forward to what comes tomorrow.